Welcome back to the Unpopular Opinion Becoming Popular. My name is Yana the Heretic, and today we will be discussing the last hexagram in the archetype of Harmonia. I have some Greek alchemy to instill upon you, but first let's get into the gate. This is the gate of arguing. This is friction, the gate of friction or conflict. And if you're going into the I Ching, it is the gate of arguing. And I know it seems like we've been going through this really taxing period. This is how eclipses are. This is generally how September is, but we don't always have a blood moon eclipse within it. So hang on to your bootstraps, into your socks, into your underwear, into your pants, I don't know, whatever you want. It is very much a time of shedding karmic obligations and layers, and there's been conversations that have happened within this year that you have been just hanging on to and clinging on to. And let's be honest, like, you're probably fucking over it, and you just don't want to say those words again. You don't want to utter anything that you've been expressing any longer. And this is the time where it finally seals down. It's either you're finding new language, you're finding compromise, you're finding agreements, and shedding the past. Like I like to say, blank slating yourself for the benefit of those around you. Or you are ending contracts within your sphere, and that is so difficult, and it seems like it's been such an anxiety-ridden time. So we had gate 64, we had gate 47, that was confusion and then oppression, and now we have friction. So it's the way to shed all those things that have been coming up for you. So this is more of the emotions starting to show themselves. This is the only quarter of duality gate in the emotional center. All of the rest of them are initiatory. So we're seeing something truly unique, and it's about really self-definition. This is about boundaries. This is about not letting people in, and knowing thyself truly, because if you're emotional, the most important tool in your arsenal is to wait to respond. And this isn't so much like the gate of aloneness that we saw at the beginning of September. This is more so knowing who to say no to. And it's in the defense circuit. So these people on the darkest of sides could be natural sadists, you know, those people that emotionally and sexually degrade you. And that could be extremely fun, and then it could be extremely not. It could be ugly. And the best story that I have, it's one of my favorite stories to really comprehend this gate, is the story of Isis, the goddess. And she's like, you know, the fantastic goddess of Egypt. And she delayed the angel. This angel came from the heavens and wanted to immediately have sex with her. And she was like, hold up, like, what are you gonna give me, you know, in return? So this angel obviously overcame his desire because he was just being thwarted left and right. And he was like, fine, what do you want, you know? And she's like, hey, give me the secrets of the universe. And he's like, cool, I'm not the one to tell you the secrets of the universe, but you have to wait for Amael to come tomorrow and share with you. He's bearing this vessel of prima materia, or sacred water, on his head, and therefore Isis bargained with this angel and then the next archangel in order to get the secrets of the universe, which is alchemy. And this can be obviously a very metaphorical story of the interplay of the subconscious and the conscious states. But I absolutely love that story, and delaying the angel is something I use day to day, because the ability to say no and the ability to do that in confidence makes you very interesting. You know, it reminds me of those old black and white movies like Audrey Hepburn, or, you know, Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe, you know, and they just like had this very classic story of romance, of like edging somebody on, and, you know, there's all these twists and turns and like supreme balls and hairdos, and, you know, it's all this type of classic fantasy, you know. And since gate 6 is in the channel of mating, it's the harmonic to gate 59, which is the gate of sexuality. This is all about restricting the sexual nature. And the reason is, you know, a lot of the time you'll feel something. You'll feel like this attraction, whether it's through intellect, or like through interests, or common language, or expression, or just relatability. And Gate 59 is all about breaking down barriers, right? So this is the ability to sustain a very important relationship, whether it's friends, whether it's business, because there's certain people that are extremely rare. They come across in your life to ignite this the creative juices of life, you know, this transformative, like, life calling, this purpose. And it's not all about sex. It's about, you know, forming a band, or, you know, being in this, like, societal relationship with somebody that's going to change the world with you, you know, and you want to maintain this, like, morality, this personal morality where it's structured. Like, sure, these people are giving you this, like, sustenance of interest, but you don't want to just, like, fuck them, you know? You don't want to just bang them and then, like, things get weird. They just do. I know some people in the polyamory realm, or just extremely confident in that way, can deal with that, but for the most part, like, it can absolutely make people go crazy, you know? That's what Gate 6 is about, is to restrict the sexuality that Gate 59 is exuding. And, you know, it doesn't feel good when you have this, like, negative Don Juan aspect. Not the, like, sorcerer Don Juan, I love him, but, you know, it's the negative side of detachment where you're like, oh, well, I just want to fuck, and, you know, that's all I want. And it's extremely shallow, and it's extremely surface level. Some people want that. Some people are okay with that life, and it makes them excited, and there's no judgment there. But for the most part, a lot of us go through this ghosting thing that makes us feel really gross, makes us feel degraded. Like, you know, it is absolutely true that certain people that enter, you know, your field, like, your membranes, like, and exchange fluids. They are a part of you. They're a part of your body somewhere. And, you know, what if you learned that person was a fucking serial killer or something? Like, that's, like, potentially in your DNA, you know? And I personally believe that through experience. There's certain people I wish that I had waited with, because I realized that, holy shit, like, what a fucking brick, you know? Like, what did I see in this person? You know, I wish I got to know them better, because now I'm in this, like, really awkward situation where I'm going to have to tell them I don't want to see you ever again. So, if you have gate 6 fully active, you're very capable. It is actually the gate that is considered to be our pH balance in our body. So this is the acidity that happens between cell membranes. It's to keep them permeable, to keep the good stuff in, and to keep all the other stuff out. So, you know, it can definitely create conflict. Some people are extremely codependent, you know, even like some friends, you know, that I've had are extremely codependent, and I'm not the type of person that can drop everything I'm doing and go hang out. I have a lot of things that I consider important that include aloneness, because I have the gate of aloneness as my sun. So it is what it is, but this is not a codependent gate. This is the ability to really hone in the self. And yeah, the defense circuit. So what else can I say? Oh, you know, obviously, like, this promotes you to be able to have harmony, because realistically, if you're, like, forced to create a decision out of thin air that somebody wants you to make, you know, and you're an emotional body, it's not going to end up good, because there's a reason for sitting in your lows for us emotional folk. You get to really process those lows, and instead of just inflicting pain, shame, guilt on somebody else and throw dishes, like, we can just, like, stay in our lows for a good amount of time until we have the appropriate answer that we need. So people don't always like that. They don't like people waiting. They want an answer right now. So ultimately, if you're an emotional body, don't be forced. You have this emotional maturity within you to be able to sit and process and just allow that to happen, because that's like an embryo. It's like a cocoon, you know, of growth. And you need to get through things within your embryo. Or else, you know, shit shatters, and it is ugly, believe me. Yeah. You know, I have burned a bridge or two in my day. So friction is sexy, though. It is edging. It is, you know, yearning for something. It keeps you alive, because if you meet somebody and you're like in this conversation where they're just nodding along and they don't have anything to add, they don't have any substance, you know, it just makes you feel like, wow, like, I didn't get anything out of this conversation. I didn't get anything out of, you know, communicating with this person. So ultimately, like, I'm gonna go, you know. And conflicts are the ability to build a stronger bond. Like, I'm sure you have said and have heard people say that we've been through a lot together. that's where the saying comes from. It's like, once you go through a lot with somebody, a lot of growth, a lot of pain, anguish, suffering, this is really how the heart of suffering brings harmony. You know, it's the ability to create Eden, and it is, in fact, the incarnation cross of Eden. It's the ability to heal these bonds constantly, or not. So how are you going to create your paradise? Does that include the person that or persons that you're with? You know, is that your family, or does it feel like fucking purgatory? So really, this is a phase of our lives where we can start to reorganize. You know, it's Virgo season. We get to start to reorganize what the fuck Eden looks like again. And it goes in waves in this emotional transit. So definitely be kind to yourself, be kind to your nervous system. You know, there's a lot of people going through this gate, you know, so you know that you're not alone. It's good to talk to people about what you're going through and to get advice if that's what it feels like. It's good to go outside and, you know, it's the entrails of summer, go for a swim, you know, just be in nature type thing. If you can, really use your boundaries to pause the conversations and allow yourself to wait, then maybe things can be savable. Maybe there's a compromise that comes in. Maybe there's like the shedding of bygones be bygones, you know, and that's really how you're going to make your Eden, you know, because if you don't have that emotional connection to somebody, it feels like you're dead. There's no reason to really worry about these fights, and really assess that within yourself. Like, who makes you feel alive and who makes you feel dead? And maybe there's a reorientation in the works. Everything that's on the other side is a new endeavor, something that is new within the relationships you have or the ones that are ending. And where are you at in this emotional maturity or in this emotional experience? What does it feel like? Because it'll be proven true to you if you just ask yourself, hey, like, is this worth all this anguish if I'm not feeling this emotional connection, you know, where if I take a break and just put up my boundaries and I don't actually feel something, like, maybe really listen to that. We do have the 59-6, the channel of mating, in transit, a design focused on reproduction, right? So this is going to be in transit the last couple days, so the 19th and the 20th, and this is the ability to be both, right? So you're going to break down lots of barriers, and you're going to feel comfortable with people, but you're also going to understand the emotional clarity of like, yeah, this isn't really like doing anything for me. I don't feel connected, you know? So like, maybe I'll text you, but it's going to take some time to realize that. My favorite song is Love, Hate, Love by Alice in Chains. I can't say it's my favorite because I love a lot of Alice in Chains songs, but it really reminds me of this as well, because you're going through this duality of like pain and pleasure and love and hate and, you know, potentially like makeup sex, right? And it really depends on the type of entanglement that you want to have. So you want to prevent yourself from being octomom for the most part, and from getting so tired in your day-to-day process, because even if we're working on a project and we don't take a break, there's nothing that's instilled, you know, into that process. We can diminish the quality of what we're making or the quality of a kid's life. Like, for example, like a ton of people who, you know, get pregnant and they don't have the ability to support a child, but, you know, morally it's the right choice to make for them. And it definitely proves that it's nice to be able to know the person that you're with is somebody that's trusted, who's going to be there through thick and thin with you, who's going to help you when you're tired, and pick up, you know, the pace with you. And that's really what this conflict is about. It's the ability to really carve your paradise and to carve your Eden. And yeah, I think I covered it all. So let's get down to the questions of the week. We also have the channel of discovery this week. So you might feel a little bit of releasing the expectations of something going a certain way, which is actually really relieving to hear, because a lot of the time when you stop caring, decisions can be made and it's in God's hands or whatnot. The indifference is really showing you what is actually going on. So, and we have the channel of abstraction, which we have seen the last couple transits, 6447. So we're still in that field, you know, of not having so much clarity. So it's important to be patient and compromise where you can, and don't try to force yourself to make problems. Questions of the week. How have clear boundaries help you maintain your emotional bandwidth? What usually happens when you are heavy in public? How do people respond to you? You know, it really depends on who you are. It really depends on your human design makeup. In what ways have your compromises and agreements transformed you and your relationships? Has there been a shift in your perspective or something that worked well for you that you were not expecting? So a lot of people can be fixed in their astrology in certain places, and it's hard to budge. It's hard to make compromise in those areas, but a lot of the time, you know, we can't just like get our way. So compromises teaches us a lot. And then it teaches us things that we don't want to compromise in the future, but it is what it is. How has delaying the angel saved you from a bad entanglement with somebody? How does it feel to finally say no? Does it give you strength, or does it take time to not feel bad? I remember this being a huge ordeal for me when I was like in my mid-20s and I was trying to stop drinking and have a healthier lifestyle. And I got a lot of FOMO, and I felt bad because I wasn't there for people like they wanted me to. But in all reality, it's like they didn't remember how I was there for them, right? So, and entanglements take, a long time, physically 7 years to shed the cells and the like psyche of this person entering you, or vice versa, you entering somebody. But I know that it can happen to where you don't have to feel, this baggage all the time from the other person. And that's another thing that happens when you have a lot of energies coming into your field. It's hard to really know what the fuck's going on. So unless you have a really multitasking capability in your auric field to perceive these energies, and they make you a better person, fuck yeah, but that is true. That is like definitely true personally, that I feel like people, there's bits and pieces of people that I've taken on from my experience, and it's harder when you're in a separation and you have children, that kind of interaction, if you hate the other person, is really fucking hard. So, and the situation is sometimes you don't even realize it. And that is very true, but if you can find out sooner than later the quality, and you ask tons of questions of the person that you're with, and then you start to like depict something, and sometimes you really don't, because some people can just become like oppressors for no reason at all. How has playing the long game or edging friction actually created a beautiful paradise in your relationships or intimacy? Share your love story. Please share your love story. I would love to hear it. You can post it down below. I also want to offer my help. This month, I have an awesome deal. This is all about understanding language between people, because you for sure have said the same shit. You have carried similar baggage from years, from relationships that have already ended like 5-10 years ago. But you'll see yourself going through similarities. You see yourself having the same issues or the same language to tackle something. And I'm here to really prevent you from using that same language, from casting spells on yourself or your partner in your mental field or in your vocal field of, just limitation. So I am offering $125 for a couple hours, just learning your human design, learning where you're open, where energy is conditioned within you easily, and where you're really fixed, where you're stable and energy's moving and oscillating appropriately within you. I also do relationship readings between two people, so it helps your relationship a lot. So if you are looking for that, please don't pass up this offer, because I have a lot to share and it is an amazing package. So I hope that was a lot of information, a lot of positive and, real information. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I will see you in the next transit. It's a new hexagram and a new arc.